Football made simple. Become great at your craft by finding ways to make it simple for those around you. This is the Coaching 101 podcast hosted by Findaway Productions with your co-host, Daniel Chamberlain and Kenny Simpson. What's up, coaches? This is the Coaching 101 podcast. I am Daniel Chamberlain. Just doing an intro here by myself. You know, we just got back from AFCA convention, which a lot of you already knew that. Got to take the podcast on the road, do some live recordings with myself and Kenny, and we had guests each of the episodes. This first one you're going to hear, we got Coach Bo Gould. That's Kenny's O-line guy there at Southside, and we hooked up with Coach PJ Gibbs. He's a defensive coordinator out of Florida. And, we just went a little toe-to-toe, one-on-one action there with the O-line and D-line coach. Defensive coordinator, of course, knows D-line play. And just let them kind of take shots at each other, a little bit of chalkboard wars just live. So it was pretty neat to see. I think it's an episode you're going to enjoy. We learned a lot doing it. Well, these next few episodes you're going to hear will be from the AFCA and just, the guest we got to sit down with there. So really hope you enjoy it. So without further ado, here is myself and Kenny Simpson with Bo Gould and PJ Gibbs.
Coaching 101 podcast is sponsored by Findaway Productions. Findaway Productions also sponsors fbcoachsimpson.com for all your coaching needs with over 30 coaching materials, books, as well as 50 PowerPoints and videos and smaller materials and the free magazine headsets. Findaway Productions also sponsors offensivecoordinatoracademy.com, all things offense, and defensivecoordinatoracademy.com, all things defense.
This episode is brought to you by Athletic Speed and Movement. At athleticspeedmovement.com, we've taken Del Basquet's 45 years of speed and movement training and put it all in one place just for you. You can get the same training that NFL players have been getting for years, collegiate players have been getting for years, and now high schools across the nation are paying thousands of dollars to bring Dell in to install his system, but we've got it online for you. It's time to help your team become faster, not just in the 40, not just their sprint speed, but between the tackles and their cuts while they're chasing down the quarterback. It's time for you to help them become faster everywhere. Jump over to athleticspeedmovement.com. There's an orange button there. Just click it. It says, get the keys to playing faster. You'll get the 3 core movement video from Dell. He's explaining the science behind it, all for just the price of your email. Check it out, athleticspeedmovement.com. Here with Coach Gibbs, brought Coach Gould back. Everyone loved your episode last season for the Follow the Guard episode, so glad to have you back on here. Of course, with Coach Simpson, and I'm Daniel Chamberlain. We're talking a little O-line, D-line play today. Coach Gibbs has been nice enough to try to defeat all of our O-line things, especially with Kenny selling the gun tee and Bo being a savant at running it now. It really does give us a chance to let other people poke holes in the plan. So, Coach, I know, initially we want to talk kind of theory of the D-line, so we'll just start with you since you're the newcomer here. Bo's like an old season vet now, so we'll go second.
Yeah.
So, kind of what's your theory when you're looking at D-line? I know offensive got super modern, a lot of multiple looks.
Yeah.
So, has that changed what you're doing at all?
Yeah, I think 100%. I think you need to be, unless you have the guys that can just kind of sit in a certain front, I think at the high school level you have to be as multiple as possible, give them different looks, because I know just based on what Coach does, there's specific rules to, what, if the guy's a shade or if he's head up or, he's a 3 or a 4-eye, like you get. I think for us, it's confusion, and that's kind of like we just don't sit in a. We may be a 3 down, but post that we may be bringing 5 or 4 or something that you may not count on. So I think you have to be as multiple as possible, but you don't want to overcomplicate things, because then on our side of the ball we're thinking, and that's an advantage for you guys.
Yeah, I actually saw somebody posting on Twitter or something, coaches, about how defense have tried to get so simple. Oh, it was the Michael Penix interview after Washington won their game, and he was like, oh yeah, they came out and they were super simple, right?
Yep.
And it's like, we preach that to our kids, and some O-line coaches are like, oh yeah, well, you keep teaching simplicity and I'm going to keep beating you, because
right.
if you can't move around, you show me a picture, I'm going to block the picture.
100%.
So, yeah, that is a good way to look at things. I know. So me as a coach, I learn from all over the place, and I learn. I watch the OU players, of course, and I listen to them talk and go to the next level and hear their interviews. And they, the D-line, we're talking about Alex Grinch. He moves his defense line like pre-snap 50% of the time or something.
Yeah.
And those kids hated it. They felt like they were unprepared or out of position more often than not. And so I took that and put it in my toolbox. But then, you watch other greats that are doing the same, and they're moving theirs, just moving them around. So it's like you kind of just got to pick your poison and do whatever you do really well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think so too. And guys that I've learned from over the years, like it's funny, I met Coach Simpson. We did during COVID, we did the COVID clinics, the Chalkboard with Matt Arafat, who just got a head coaching job in Texas, and that's how Coach and I kind of hooked up. But guys that I've learned from, like Coach Brown's been a mentor of mine for years, and I think just giving the offensive line, like we don't want to think on defense, but we want them thinking on offense. And I think, especially when you have a certain snap count you want to go on, and something I talked about in the skills and drills thing before was kind of, if you get resources to scout, try to figure out when coach wants to snap the football, and then 2 seconds before that, that's when we want to stem. We don't want to stem pre-snap right away, because now that gives them the advantage.
Right.
We want to go like as close to when they want to snap the ball as possible.
Absolutely.
I tell you, and I know Bo's going to talk O-line, but scheme-wise, I'd say for like offensively, you see those teams, like you said, that either they're always up tempo or they're always 2 seconds for the snap, on the play clock. And that's why I think offensively you have to have variations of tempo, because guys like PJ are doing that. And if they know, hey, they're snapping the ball at a second left on the play clock, man, they can time everything up. So I think that's really, really big. I know Bo's going to talk O-line like theory, but as far as scheme, I think that's a really good point. It's not just knowing how to move, like you said, but knowing when to move.
We played a team, I think it was first round of playoffs, second round playoffs this year, and their snap count was just everybody's in place, quarterback says ready, does the hand clap, and the center snaps it when he wants. So it was like there might be a full second and a half delay, and it was weird. We couldn't really time anything because you don't know. It's like whenever that guy so it went back to old school football, right? Like see the ball, play the ball. Like if he snaps it, go. So it's big. It's pretty neat to see how people want to do that tempo. So, Coach, we'll bring you in Coach Bo Gould, offensive line coach for the Southside Southerners. Absolute stud. Sun is out, and I don't see any guns once again. So
it's a little chilly up here.
Yeah, he told me it's freezing earlier. So Coach, just working back on that theory side, offensive line, what are you doing nowadays to counteract not only what he's doing, just we're all seeing odd front now, right? It seems like everybody's in the 3-4. So what are you doing with your guys to help with that?
Yeah, well, like Coach Gibbs was saying, everybody's going to be multiple, or more so now. They're going to be changing a lot during the game, but also what we see on our end is it's kind of hard to game plan for them anyways, because it'll be something different than they've shown in film Friday night. So, and he kind of touched on it about our rules and stuff, but I think that's something that kind of works in our favor, because we do have rule-based on every play, to where technically we should be able to run it and be okay. It may not be the best play in that situation, but we shouldn't get negatives because of it, because as long as we follow our rules instead of focusing on what number or who I'm blocking. So that's really helped us.
A question for you, Coach Gould, I know you do O-line, and I know probably what I think, but I don't know what you think. Would you rather play a team like PJ that they move all over the place, or would you rather play that team that sits in like a forefront and they just anchor everything down and screw? I know we run a different offense.
Yeah.
You probably see spread, I'm guessing, most of the time, PJ.
A ton.
Right, and so like what you're running offensively, what we're running offensively is not exactly that. Which one would you rather see?
I would rather see somebody that I'm going to know what they're going to be in, and they're not going to be changing it.
There you go, PJ.
Yeah.
So
it makes it easy, because no matter what, at the start of the game, or at least the kids that I coach, I'm going to have to sit over there for a couple of drives to make sure, guys, hey, remember your rule is to block down, even though he should know that.
Yeah.
But it makes it a lot easier when I can draw that up for them, because they're not shifting, they're not doing anything. They may have like an empty check when we're in empty, and it looks a little bit different than what it does, but generally speaking, those linemen that we're blocking are going to be in the same places, and that makes my job a lot easier.
Are you asking for like extra time before the snap so you guys can communicate more? Like, hey, we need to slow things down another second, just to allow for that communication? Or
sometimes if we know that they're going to be a blitz-heavy team or something like that, we'll do a lot more check with me's at the line, so that time is kind of built in for the lineman to see that guy walking up or whatever. But generally speaking, I don't really care about our tempo unless it is a blitz-heavy team, and then I want those guys to walk up so we can get our stay calls or whatever it is that we have planned.
Yeah, so I think we're going to try to hopefully transition. Now we're kind of doing this on the fly here at AFCA. So, but PJ, I think we're going to try to do basically. Bo's going to talk about a type of block. So we're going to let him do down blocks and then do base blocks and then maybe even do a reach block. Let him go and how he's teaching it.
Sure.
And then let you talk to how you're teaching your D-line and how they're going to defeat that. So it's not really a war.
Right.
We want to hear both y'all's theory on that.
Yeah.
But what block you want to go with first? Bo?
I'll do down blocks since it's probably the key really in our entire deal.
Right.
So with us, we're not blessed with having your prototypical linemen that are getting recruited to all the colleges, So for example, our guards were like high 100s, and our biggest guy was like 250 this year, but we're able to set a record at the school for our running yards. So basically how I teach down blocks is we're okay if they go upfield. We're not worried about that penetration. So one of the things I'm looking at is if the guy is an upfield player, or if he's an anchor technique and like reading our blocks. So I'm going to change the head placement on my guy. If he's upfield, our head's going to be across and we're down on the hip. If he's a reader or reactor trying to fall over us, we're going to place our head on his back then. And the rest of that, we're trying to drive and then work our hips toward the hole to protect that guy from coming into the hole. And that's the gist of our down block.
So PJ, and I'm going to be taking notes on this, we sucked at defeating the down block. We're good at doing it. Bo did a good job. But our D-line, we get washed everywhere.
Yeah.
So how are you teaching the D-linemen to kind of handle it down, recognize it, and then handle it?
Yeah, we have two really good D-line coaches. But I mean, again, I'll just talk about how we start like in spring install, because we do so much attacking and so much movement. We're very rarely in, a shade or, things like that. But what we really do is, if we have like a 3 technique, let's say, and we're teaching them how to defeat a down block, we're going to launch to the outside shoulder of the guard, all right, through the V of the neck.
Yeah.
Half the man. I think that's the biggest coaching point for defensive linemen is you're doing the offensive lineman a favor if you go straight down the center of them. Like, we want to create space. You guys don't want to create space, right? So we always work a drill where we'll launch to the V of the neck, and then I always tell our guys, if you feel pressure on the outside part of your shoulder pad, you're going to take your outside arm, push through the outside shoulder pad of that guard, and you're going to pop your hips through. You're going to pop your hips through, and then you're going to get skinny. So for us, that's just like day one, like defeating the down block. Now again, if it's to a point where like guys are going to get washed, like if you have a tackle that's 6'4", 275, and I got a 3 technique that's 5'11", 190, it don't matter.
Yeah.
It don't matter. At the end of the day. So for us, it's really just teaching that basic fundamental of feeling that pressure on the outside part of your shoulder pad, punching with your outside arm and throwing your hips through, grabbing grass and staying square.
Yeah.
So you'll see our guys do that, like basic, like just boom. That's the kind of like
You
first
all work
couple
that
days.
in your everyday drills?
Everyday individuals, yeah, we'll work that.
We kind of teach the same. We did with post hip and rip is what we call it. Same thing. Like feel pressure. You got to get back. Fire with fire.
Yep.
Throw your hip. We talk about a lot of times. Your hip owns the gap. Your head, your shoulders don't own the gap. Your hips own the gap. So as a D lineman, if that's your gap, you better get your hips in. And then rip across and make a play.
Yep.
So I'm glad to know that what I'm teaching at the very base level of even freshman ball.
Yep.
You're teaching up the big level.
Well, that's block recognition 101 there.
Yep.
So now, so now you've made that move and you got to teach those escapes. I'm sure you have some kind of, are you a spin escape guy? Are you a win with speed escape guy? Are you a rip guy? How do you teach them to escape? You recognize the block.
Yeah.
You got skinny.
Yep.
He's still on you.
Yep.
So how are you trying to teach them to it?
I don't like our guys spinning because I don't like them to expose their back. In the years I've had one kid that I've allowed to do it because he was really, really good at it. And I think that's everywhere in high school. Is every year you have different kids, so guys that are really good at something. But what we'll do is if he's still getting washed, we'll have him take his hips and pop just to stay square.
Just stay in the gap.
Just stay in the gap, yeah, because no matter what we do defensively, whether it's a heavy pressure or even like a simulator or everybody, it's gap assignment football. You know, it's not just like, hey, let's throw something against the wall and see what sticks. Everybody has a job, everybody has a gap. Now, if it's something where it's like it's boot, let's say they're blocking down and you guys are booting out, then I'm okay with them coming over the top. You know, punching and ripping, yeah, but and again, it's the same thing. Get your arm over, don't expose your rib cage. Because you're going to teach. Oh, that's beautiful, man. That's like going to barbecue on a Friday night, bro. It's boom, just take his butt right to the sideline.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think, you know, you're going to get out of the kids what you put into it. Like if you don't spend a whole lot of time on that, don't be surprised if they continually get washed because you're not working on it.
Yeah.
You know, that's our job as coaches.
Yeah.
So Bill, we'll throw that to you. So you talked about the first couple steps, head placement.
Yeah.
So now, all right, you're in a great spot right now. Now, what are you teaching that kid to finish and maintain it?
Yeah. From there, it's all our footwork, spinning our feet around, preventing that guy from coming over the top, and spinning our feet. And as a coach, you know, I have a couple of drills where if I have some kids that are struggling with their footwork, then we're going to do our down block drills. I'm not going to change anything except I'm not going to allow them to use their hands, and we're going to do it only with our feet, having to block the guy with the hand shield, only using our feet. So hopefully I'm getting that part out of it as well.
Is that turning like a mirror drill? It reminds me like a DB's mirror drill. Really.
Down block mirror drill kind of, you know.
That's genius.
Yep. And our head's where it needs to be, and all I'm doing is working my feet to keep that guy from coming over.
That's beautiful. But a lot of people probably can't think that simply, right? You got to make it harder instead of simpler.
But yeah, you know, there's several things out there, and it all comes down to have you worked that with your kid, like you were saying. Have you made that a focus? You know, and I think that's why the preparation and the film work, maybe you haven't done this the first 2 games, but now you're seeing a team that you need to work on this. So are you doing that on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday before you play on Friday? You know?
All right, you want to jump to block number 2? So block number 1, I feel pretty good about that one. Let's go to a base block. So, which I know in our offense, we don't really even do that. So I'm kind of making Bo answer a hard question here. We will base some, but we're always half a man blocking. But let's just say, for the sake of this whole debate, you have a 2, and we've asked you to block that kid, a base block. What's your first couple steps, and then we'll go to PJ with his first couple steps.
Yeah, well, normally that would happen for us on whenever we're running our belly play, I think. And depending on where the guys are lining up, if he's head up of us, there should be a predetermined area that play is going to hit for us. For example, if I'm the guard and I got a 2 and I know it's going to be hitting B gap, then that's the foot I'm going to step with first to hopefully prevent that from getting over there. And like Coach Simpson was saying, we're blocking a half a guy, so I'm going to step to that way and then focus on that guy's half. I know in the playoffs this year, our strong guard was 195, and their D linemen, they had 2 big old guys that I think in the program they said 340 plus just because the scale couldn't go above that. And we were able to still have success with that, not because that guy could block him, but because I gave him the tools of cutting him in half, understanding where we're trying to run it, and that really helped us out.
You know? I know you're probably a head up dude, so I know you're probably doing some movement stuff.
Yeah.
But let's just say that whatever you've moved to, a base block's coming at you.
Right.
So what are you doing?
So I guess for us, it's always having that gap hand free. But also, too, it's about, for us, it would be like being able to create space. Right. So being able to get our arms out. And that's one of the biggest things that we see, you know, in the spring is, you know, the kids want to get off, but it's like, dude, you got to get your hands on the guy. Yeah. Because, again, we all work together, right? So it's like, if the D-line's not doing their job, getting their hands on the O-line, then they're getting to the second level. And now we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because now you guys get in the second level, now our last line of defense is the secondary. We don't want those guys being the leaders in tackling. My field and boundary safety shouldn't be the leader in tackling, right? So it's about, same thing Coach talked about, half a man, arm extension, all right, and creating space. And being able, so like, if you do base block us and now I'm in an outside gap, well, now the back goes back to the escape part. Right now, I can get rid of the O line, and now I get back on the play. So I think that's it's kind of like teaching that we talk about like educational stacking, right? Learning, adding, subtracting, multiplying a division, right? Don't go from adding to multiplication. You got to kind of stack it and teach them to do things the right way.
Shout out to Kenny Ridley. He's been using math words for football for a long time.
And I'm a history guy. I'm not a big math guy.
I gotta teach your kids how to add and subtract before you teach them.
You say educational stacking, that means you get like 6 figures, and you can make a lot of money doing that.
I wish, man. From your mouth to God's ears.
Boom, 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 boom. There we go. It's a base block. I know we don't do much, and really, I don't think there's a lot of base blocking going on in football now. You kind of see down block, or the other block you see. We don't do zone blocking, but we'll do reach.
Right.
That's similar, and you can. I'm sure y'all see a ton of zone down there in Florida.
Yeah.
So, Bo, I know we don't run zone.
Yeah.
Let's just pretend we are running some kind of zone or reach block.
Yeah.
What are you teaching on that?
Well, I think that ties into like our Trojan with like our wing and stuff. So I'll go over how we teach his steps on that play. Basically, what we're going to do is we tell him that he gets 3 steps to hook the guy that he's supposed to be hooking. If that guy's fighting him outside, then by his 3rd step, we're okay if he rides him out to the sidelines.
Inside hand.
Yeah, with his inside hand, and then we'll hit it underneath him instead of it going outside. So it's kind of a 2-way deal there, where it could go outside or it could go inside that force player. And normally that's determined on the guy that's doing the reach block, his 3rd step.
And you're telling him, like, make a decision, right? Either get your butt inside or get your butt outside. But give the running back a read he can read right now.
Yeah, not so much for our running back, because all our running back knows is he's following our guard. So it's more the read for our guard. The guard's got to have the clear read.
Yeah.
And the running back, all he knows is he don't even know what play it is. He's taught to follow the guard every time. So
I know PJ, your defense is a little different, so I know maybe teach a little different. But you're reading a reach block. Let's say I'm in whatever, and I'm starting to get overtaken.
Yep.
Are you going to give that guy freedom underneath, over top, or how are you teaching him to handle that?
If you're an edge guy, be the edge guy, right? So one of the things I think our guys do a really good job of, our 2D line coaches, is we do this thing with, I should have started this in the beginning, but we don't teach as far as snap count with the ball. We teach the kids to watch the outside foot of the offensive lineman. So like if we're gonna know if you're gonna down block, we're gonna know if you're gonna try to reach, we're gonna know if you're gonna base. So that's kind of like I guess visual recognition key for our guys.
Yeah.
Because I always tell them, like, you don't need to peripher the ball. If they don't move, you don't move. So look at that outside foot, because it's gonna tell you where that guy's going.
We all watch the NFL. We watch the Kelsey brother that's up there getting he's cheating off the line every snap by a half a second. So if you just go with egos, you're probably going to be better off than waiting on the ball.
Yes,
they're all cheating anyway.
100%.
So now the guy's reaching, you're feeling him reaching. You're not an edge. Let's say you're a 3 technique, and the guard's trying to overtake you. Are you trying to get vertical push and push him back in the backfield, or are you trying to beat him outside?
For us, it all depends on that kid. Like, so for us, like, we were really fortunate this year. We had 2. We had an FBS nose guard, and we have a FCS 4I. So we had those guys were able to do something a little bit differently. But if coach's guy's doing a really good job of reaching, I would say I want to create separation and extend. I want to keep you on the line of scrimmage. I don't want you gaining depth to that second level, right? So I want to keep fighting outside, and just basically, like I tell them, it's like all you guys. We have a school where everybody thinks they're a basketball player, right? Even our big guys think they're hoopers. So I'm like, how do you play defensive basketball? Slide. Like you're talking about your book, right? Right? So freaking slide, man. You hit the floor, like, remember Duke back in the day? Boom, Coach K, and you slide, and you slide. It's I think being able to translate the football stuff, and you did a great job with your book, Coach, your football stuff to other sports that the kids play. I think that, because now again it's like, what'd you do wrong? I didn't slide. I always tell them, don't take the easy way out. Because all you're doing is you're leaving the guy behind you hanging. And I said, when I played, if the D lineman did something like that, we were gonna have words in the huddle. That's back when we huddled on defense.
Going back to like putting it in other sports that they play. I'll be with the 7th grade doing offense out there, and we're working screens, and I'll tell the quarterback all he's doing is turning the double play. Like, get the ball out there, turn the double play. And it's like, I don't have to sit here and turn the ball around and all that. No, I got to get this thing out. We're trying to turn 2 here.
Yep.
You know, so
we're gonna do an infomercial in the middle right here because both these guys have materials we want to make sure we're promoting. And then we're going to ask you the last question coming up after that, which will be, what's the worst thing you can see from it? You know, we already talked about upfield or downfield.
Yeah.
What kind of defensive lineman do you not want to see?
Yeah.
And what kind of offensive scheme do you not want to see?
Yeah.
So that'll be our last question. Before then, though, I'll promote a little bit and let y'all talk. I know Coach Gould has his first book out. He did offensive line drill book. Why don't you talk about that a little bit, Coach?
Yeah, so I got the offensive line drill book. It's kind of piggyback off the gun tee system that Coach Simpson does. But really, it would coordinate if you're a power gap, run scheme type of guy. It has several drills in there. The down block stuff that we talked about earlier, various things in there that we do at our school. So it's been really good for us.
And we're hoping he's got a couple more materials coming out soon. And PJ, you are a material machine. You got stuff everywhere. So tell us where we can go find your stuff.
I got the 2 books out on Amazon, The Right Defense for Your Program, Volumes 1 and 2, and then collaborated with Coach Stewart, and I got the 3 Safety Defensive System 15 courses. It's on my website, fbcoachgibbs.com, and I did 4 installs last year, and Coach was a big help. You know, anytime I had a question on whether it was dumb or otherwise, he would help me out.
We're learning together.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So, but yeah, so it's been very exciting, and we had our best year at Golden Gate this year. Most wins in the history of the school. First conference, first district, first playoff win. Just a little bit under 15 points a game. 41% havoc rate for the season. So our kids really it's about the buy-in, right? They really bought into what we were doing.
And I want to hit one more thing. I know it's not a promotional thing, but I want to talk a little bit about your daughter. I thought that was a really cool story about her getting to go to, was it UConn or was it
She went to
UMass?
Yeah, so she was up at Coach Dorian. The first place we went up to was NC State. Coach Dorian had invited us up for the Clemson game. So she got to be an assistant coach. She's on the autism spectrum. She's 12 years old. Extremely high functioning, wants to be a football coach. She's defensive analyst. We had some issues with my school district with her being on the field, and that's really all I can say about that.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to put you in trouble.
Yeah, and then Don's been a great friend of mine, so he invited us up. So she got to script his whole defense for the UConn game, all 75 plays, and got geared up both times, and they treated her like royalty, man. So it was awesome. As a dad, to see her enjoy herself like that, especially after what we went through, it was great.
Yeah, and obviously you're dealing with one, autism spectrum. Second, you're dealing with a girl who wants to be a football coach.
Yeah.
Talk about that for a little bit. And what are your, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
She's wanting to do that. So how are you trying to kind of promote her and help her in that role?
Yeah, I mean, she's she really enjoys the game. For me, it's trying to get her around the right people. Like she's coming up with me. We're coaching in the Tropical Bowl in Orlando in 2 weeks. That's a FBS All-Star game. So she's helping me with the defensive backs, and these are FBS guys from all over the country that are going to play. All 32 NFL teams will be represented there watching these guys, and she gets it. I think the more exposure she gets around the high-level stuff, I think because I know once she gets to high school, wherever we put her, she's going to want to be on the coaching staff. So to have her on 2 FBS sidelines this year, to have her coach in a college all-star game, and we may be going to Ann Arbor in the spring for the spring game. So it's just to give her as much exposure to the sport as possible. Really, to have her figure out what she wants to do. Because I'm like, you understand, like this. If you get a job doing this, it's not going to be like doing it with dad. It's going to be putting food on the table for her, and it's whether you want to be a scout or an analyst or a coach or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I'll support you 100%. But you have to understand this is going to be your livelihood if you choose to do so.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool deal. We'll be following that journey. If you guys are listening to the podcast and we'll reach out to Coach Gibbs, so how would they reach out to you? And then we'll do Coach Gould. And I got that last question we got to answer. So how they can get you?
So easy. My Twitter's at Coach PJ Gibbs, and then my email is pgibbs8424@gmail. So either way, you guys want to reach out, any questions, let me know.
Yeah. So my Twitter account is at Coach Bo Gould. And Gmail, you guessed it, coachbogould@gmail.com. So it's pretty simple. I didn't have there's no other Coach Bo Goulds out there, I guess. But yeah, so that's how you can reach out to me. And whatever you need, any questions you have, I'm just giving back. Everybody's been so nice to me to give to me. So I have no problem helping whoever might need help.
For clarity, you spell it B-O, not B-A-U.
He's not Louisiana or
Right,
Right. Got the Arkansas letter in there.
There we go. Less letters is better, right?
Yeah.
We'll do the last question I've got, and then we'll let the real host of the show close us out correctly. That's Daniel's job. He does a good job with that. So, all right. So, PJ, worst offensive scheme that you don't like going against. So, I know this is D-line specific. So we're talking mainly run game.
Yeah.
So, what's the kind of run game you go, man? We better get ready.
Any type of triple or option or split back here, because you're counting on high school kids to do their assignments for 48 minutes, and that to me, no matter schematically what you do, I mean, the one positive thing is if the big play does bust, you know who screwed up. Dive, quarterback, pitch guy, or we talk about area with that stuff, but yeah, I would say those because it just like you're kind of holding your breath. Especially depending on they got dudes in the backfield. Like 2 years ago, we faced Naples High School. They have starting running back at NC State and starting running back at Arkansas in the backfield. So, yeah.
You got those guys. You better be doing
Yeah. Triple option, you get one-on-one tackles.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Coach Gould, so let's flip it now. What's the worst look you could see?
Yeah, it's just I don't feel like it's the look as far as like. It's more if they're multiple, like Coach Gibbs was saying. It doesn't really matter if they're odd or even. If we can figure out what you're going to be in, it works into our hands. It works into him. I can report back to him to get the right plays out there and stuff like that. But if you're constantly moving your front, blitzing randomly and things like that, it frustrates us easy up there.
Could you close us out? You know what it is.
We'll do the real closing report. I'll go back and do it on the computer where it's a little better quality. Appreciate you guys getting through this with us. I know the sound is kind of everywhere. You probably hear the waterfall if I haven't gotten it cut out, and people and chairs. Man, it's AFCA week though, right? So we're going to have a blast, and we're going to push through. We've got to be resilient in this time of difficult podcasting.
First world problems here. We appreciate Coach Gibbs, Coach Gould coming out. Guys, we reach out to both of them. They're legit. They want to help. I know PJ's traveling all over the country doing installs, and Coach Gould's doing a couple with me, and getting to connect with coaches has been big time. So reach out to us, and in a couple of years, probably about 20 years, your daughter may have to hire me to be an offensive line coach or something.
Hopefully she'll hire me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Like Kenny said, thank you so much for wasting 30 minutes here with us, and we'll look forward to the next time.
Awesome.
Thank you.